Live? Jesus, Louise, I'll be happy if this all works out, let me tell you. All right, I'll let you guys know when and if we are. It says now streaming live on YouTube. So I guess we should say hello to everyone because we're live on YouTube.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Look at that. You guys are taking a dab right as it came live. All right, I'm now going to share this to the other YouTube channel. It's messed it all up the way I do my videos now. So I have to share this. Be like, there you go. Come on over, guys and gals. All right. So first off and foremost, wow, I got my channel back. How crazy is that? People thought it was gone forever. There was conspiracy theories about it. There were people like, oh, I don't know, like is Bubbleman becoming like a Bitcoin scam guy now? Like people just really go down the rabbit hole fairly deep. Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. And I've been known to travel down the rabbit hole myself with Alice in hand. But sometimes it's a little bit much. So no, it was not a conspiracy. I dropped my guard a little bit and got caught on a phishing scam. Just to give you a quick little update on this, the channel, it took 6 weeks to get it back, and there was a lot of stuff I had to do. And now still trying to get the videos back. So that may very well happen. But in the meantime, that's enough about that. This is HashTalk episode 2, long in the wait. So thank you to the Roxy Gray. Roxy Gray, is that like one of you guys is Roxy, one of you is Gray, or are you just both Roxy Gray?
We're just, it's an idea.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
I like it. All right. Well, I like the lifestyle. And thank you guys for joining today. And we're going to have a great conversation. It's you guys want to introduce yourself real quick? So, because maybe everyone doesn't know who you are.
I'm Beth.
I'm Craig. We're Roxy Gray. We're in the hills of Hebron, Maine, up in the Oxford Hills area of South Central Maine. We specialize in 100% organic, poison-free hash rosin and hash rosin capsules, and we exclusively make rosin. We offer it.
Beautiful.
So we go the whole way through and just turn everything into rosin or capsules.
Beautiful.
And we're 100% full source.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I love the fact that you're in Maine. My only real connection to Maine is that I tripped mad balls at a fish show there in '94. It was in Bangor, Maine, and it was A-okay, let me tell you.
Very fun.
All right, I want to welcome Pedro into the room as well. Did you guys make it onto the HashTalk Roxy Gray last time, or were you guys kind of?
We were going to be in the second part, and then the first part ended up being a really awesome talk, and you guys just kind of kept going, and we were going to postpone, and
and we did postpone. So you guys fit into the same group as Pedro fits into, so we want to introduce him again. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Holy shit, I got my channel back.
Dude, how freaking ridiculous. I just saw it was yesterday, I believe, and I couldn't believe the when I saw it. Yeah, it was just I was on my mind. I was wondering if you were gonna do one, and then I woke up this morning and checked my email and was like, holy shit, it's on tonight. So cancel all plans. Here I am.
Oh, thank you for coming, dude. Love to catch up with you. Also felt super bad about postponing that whole rosin trip, and I thought, you know what, a lot of people are making hash rosin, and rosin can be a part of HashTalk. So I made a point on inviting you guys both in, as we did. I did feel a little bit bad about that, but how about YouTube though? I mean, I know we get into all the YouTube's anti-cannabis. It's like YouTube monetized my channel for over 5 years. YouTube gave my channel back after it got hacked and hijacked, and like scams ran through it, and like all of this crazy shit. I got to give it up to them. Like maybe it's not quite as bad as we think. Fingers crossed that they'll be doing this for more and more people in the cannabis industry. I'm very, very, very happy that they, for the community more than anything, to get this channel back and to be able to go live with all of you guys. And it's a real blessing for sure.
I was a little surprised, to be honest with you, that you got the response you did. Of course, I griped so many times. I put in so many, hey, what the hell is going on? Kind of messages to them. As I'm assuming most other people did as well. But yeah, I'm surprised with their response. You're a very clear channel as to what you do and what you support. And there's no hiding behind it, and they helped out. I'm kind of surprised. I've been kind of a victim myself of YouTube. I left them I've been gone from YouTube for a year and a half now or so. I throw up little unboxing videos and stuff here and there, but I still I'm a little nervous of the whole situation, so I'm surprised.
I say patience is a virtue when it comes to YouTube. They're such a monstrous company. And if you can imagine, they have this infrastructure set up where they're up here and there are these long legs that keep 95% of people from even getting in touch with them. Like, you understand that I got my channel back and never once spoke to a representative at YouTube, right? Not once. I never talked to them.
Really? Via email or anything?
Nothing. No communication with
Wow.
them whatsoever. I talked to Google One. They have this whole thing set up. It's certainly not like the algorithms they have to protect their monetization of, say, copyrighted music, because if I put a song on my video, which I would never do, but if I did, it would take about like 4 minutes before the algorithm like ran it through, grabbed it, struck my channel with a copyright infringement, shut the video down. It's all like automatic, but they don't have an algorithm for like people getting hacked, people getting impersonated, all these other sorts of things. So I won't talk about it any longer. I'm just super excited to have the channel back, and give us a background again on what you are doing, Pedro, just because, you know, we're starting a new show. I've been gone for a while, and I want everyone to know who you are and what you're doing.
Currently cleaning my Puffco Peak atomizer as we speak, but
word. Let's put that on Instagram right now.
Yeah, right. I keep this thing pristine. I think it's the only way to keep them running sometimes.
100%.
So I am a personal grower, a single source for the most part. I do wash here and there for some friends, but I'm a single source grower, organic completely. I use build a soil and root wise inputs almost exclusively. Just started because really the wife has Dizzy Grower. Actually, she's probably in chat. She has fibromyalgia, which is essentially just chronic pain, and she was on just a fist load of pharmaceuticals a couple times a day. And I was kind of losing my wife mentally. You know, she was just not there, spaced out, didn't remember where things was. You know, just the whole pharmaceutical battle that everybody talks about. You know, and so I knew that there would needed to be something more. So we started getting into growing, and cannabis was great, but it wasn't enough. So we needed to move to concentrates. And I know that, you know, I did not want to walk down the road of growing organically and taking the love that I have to keep everything out of the plant and keep it as natural as possible, to then just blast my stuff with butane. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me at all.
I was always amazed when I saw people do it. No judgments, but from
I
my
understand.
perspective, I'm with you on that one. And I also now can see their way as well through their eyes. But I was always like, what are you talking about? Like organic, living soil, the whole 9 yards. And then you did what with it?
I know.
You did what with it?
It's tough. I mean, and again, like you said, it's not to say that there's not clean product out there, but what we that's another conversation. So I chose to walk down the hash road, and then it just kind of progressed from there. It kind of became a personal drive at that point in time. Once I really started making hash and seeing the melt and everything, and experiencing the medicinal effects, you know, the high, whatever you want to call it. I just loved it. The intensity was there. The longevity was there. The cleanliness, because of how much we had to smoke in terms of flower versus how much you have to smoke in terms of concentrate. So everything, you know, just made sense to me. And then it just kind of became a love and a drive to see how good, how much better, how many more, the terpene content, can we get it higher? Can we play with colors? You know, what can we do? And so here I am. I'm a hash maker. I'm a rosin maker. I'm a grower. I'm a single source, and I'm Pedro.
Dude, you're a quality guy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I like it. It's a quality group. I'm telling you, it really is. I forgot about this the last time we kind of had these conversations with even some of the other different. It seemed like a reoccurring theme: organics, regenerative, sustainable, you know, solventless. And here we are. It's HashTalk. So I guess I should welcome Brian from Best Friends Farms. I'm glad you made it in, man. I saw your shit was doing a little kind of like audio trying to connect. I was like, oh, it would be a bummer to lose you. You're a quality guy too.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're out on are you in Maine as well? No?
Yeah, I'm up in the Foothills Lakes region of Maine, so probably like an hour from the other Maine friends or
Word. So. Maine represents hard on HashTalk.
Yeah, we're loving it for sure.
It's like
nice to be back on. Yeah.
Excellent. So how are things going up there right now? I've seen you've been posting, like, if anyone follows my Instagram account, BC Bubbleman, I post his shit all the time. I don't know if it's stories that I'm forwarding. Is that what it is?
Stories, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
just been sharing a bunch of stories. It's going really good. Just putting in tons of work every day, turning through new amazing types, and coming into some really good work of our own strain breeding into the hash. And thanks to you and the group, we've actually even stepped it up in the last month and just turning out some really amazing cured resin, air dried, dried flower resins that are just, we're really happy with. So
beautiful.
yeah.
Well, it's been some of the nicest hash I've seen posted as of late. I would say the only piece that I saw that looked, and this is just from a photo opinion, but the shit that Heavy Ice posted in that glass jar that was like a cake that had a
unbelievable.
Piece of
I mean,
that
that's
was
what's
a
got me
home run,
motivated.
dude. That was a home run.
Unbelievable. I mean, I look up to his hash is absolutely top notch. I love seeing his posts. I love seeing all the organic nature to those guys. Great Lakes and Grease and Heavy Icer seem really awesome.
Me too. They just seem like super quirky, particular guys that I would fucking get along with in real life because I'm super quirky and particular as well. And those are my people.
I dig their style for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that leads us to you, Heavy Ice. Dude, tell us about that piece. And maybe I should go try to find it and share it on the screen because it'd be a pretty piece of shitty thing to do to not post that piece while we're talking about it. Let me go.
Was that the one where I just popped like the whole 3 grams out of the jar?
Oh yeah.
It was melted. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was very good.
And that was actually not one of our meltiest strains of the year either. So I was kind of surprised that it looked that good, but
it looks,
that was amazing.
Tell us a little bit about it while I'm looking for it.
I believe that was a jar of GMO.
It was GMO, wasn't it? Yeah.
So let's see, it would have been probably 70 micron GMO.
So did you post that on your Facebook or only on Instagram?
It's on Facebook and
it's on Facebook. I just found it. All right, let me see if I can share or figure out how to.
All right.
I don't really know this one so much. I know we're streaming. What else can I do with this? Share screen. Look at that. It's a giant fucking. It would be good if I could just do it via. I guess I could show your whole Facebook page. All right, I'm gonna do that. So you probably are seeing that now, maybe. Share. No. Yes. Is it coming up?
I see it now.
Dude.
So yeah, that's just some of the GMO hash that had been out of the refrigerator for, maybe 24 hours. I'd taken a few dabs out of it. It's
spectacular. It's only, before things like Instagram, it was really, let me see if I can get this page back here too. I somehow closed this entire chat now and I can't really, it's only when you make hash like this prior to things like Instagram where you would even ever experience seeing something like that or feeling the textures of it and how hard it gets. I mean, I'll tell you, back in like 99 when I made some of the first full melt and I got that shit dried like glass, I was so excited. I stuck a little like nail into the side of it and went to crack a piece off, and I shit you not, that thing went right in my eye, like fiercely in my eye. It was like, I was like, holy shit. Like, and then it was like, I couldn't get it out fast enough. And some of it melted into my eye. And it was like the most insane burning feeling I had ever had. Worse than rubbing your plants after rubbing your plants and then accidentally rubbing your eyes. It was seriously like a worrisome experience. But, by 2001, 2002, I would tell that story and people were just like, huh? But now people get it now. 20 years later, enough people have the product. They've seen the product. People have shared the product with them. And that was definitely, that stuff shatter. You could like hit that with a hammer and break it into 1,000 pieces. No problem.
Yep.
Like incredible. All right, I'm going to stop this share. And there we go. I brought that back. Beautiful. Let's say hello to, I guess, Colin from Vessel Life. What's going on, buddy? Oh, I muted you. You came in unmuted, and I had to mute that shit. I got you. You're unmuted now.
You got me? All right, cool.
I got you, dude.
Right on. Well, a pleasure, man. I'm good. I'm as you know, I've been busy in the lab at Happy Valley.
Dude, you've been making fire.
I've been, I'm trying, and I have some Uptown Funk that I pulled out of the lab today that if y'all can see it, gonna try to get it in there.
Dude, we need to
Don't
fix this
see
fucking
that.
camera thing. We need MPE macro fucking cameras.
If you
where
guys
it's
can
like,
see this, but
okay.
this is the 90, and I'm gonna try it, and I'm super stoked. We're trying to dial in the process, which we're doing, and you know the deal, man. Just trying to onboard this new beautiful thing that we've been trying to create here, and just focusing on all the cultivars that we have. I got some C99 here, some Java Stash, and some garlic. But yeah, man, just kind of focusing on that and looking forward to new cultivars and trying to expand on all of it, But it's been good.
We are the unveilers of the flame. I'm torching up my bowl right now if you guys want to join me.
I will actually. I have some rosin that I pulled out of the lab today.
Some rosin, all right.
Yeah,
I got something.
This is some garlic rosin, which garlic is ChemD times Girl Scout cookie times OGKB F2.
Well, I got this from Flab 421. Can't really see it very well, but it is super melty, 90 micron, and it was just such a joy to see him have beautiful melty hash that I'm gonna smoke on that. You can see the quality is definitely there.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, this is going to be my first time that I've tried this.
Ooh, first times.
That's what we're doing.
Let me open it up so everyone. Oh, that looks like the way high integrity glass art takes dabs.
Yeah, everybody.
That's awesome. All right. Well, good, man. I'm so glad you all were able to make it here last minute. And be able to have a nice little chat, talk about what we're all up to, feel blessed that we have this platform once again to sort of share with. There's an enormous amount of great people that are on this platform, and that's why it was worth fighting for, in my opinion. I just didn't want to leave it behind. It was a lot of work over the course of the last 5 to 6 years to make it.
So much knowledge.
Yeah, so much knowledge shared by so many great people.
So many great minds came together to share, which was amazing.
It helped create a community that's here now, and
it's
we're
built
all a bunch of people that are, I think, in this chat now together too. So
absolutely. And you know what, one of the things that I really noticed now that Hash Church was a driver in so many different ways. Not only did it drive the community with education, but there were all sorts of people linking up behind the scenes after talking and hearing one another and be like, you know what, I need to talk to that person a little bit more. And it was just such a great way to help connect people, patients with growers with processors with, retailers, keep the whole industry running from a community standpoint, where it's like the people and the education is first and foremost, and it's okay for profits to come down the line as long as they're not, like the way it's done in every other industry in the world right now, which is not so good.
I think from certain aspects too, it could.
Oh, you're cutting out.
May not have been interested before in making their mind going or making.
Pardon me. He cut out a little bit on that. I wish we could have heard him better. I mean, I kind of got the gist of it, but I think you have a pretty shady connection right now. Your connection's like 25 fucking no melt right now. We need to get you on like a 90 micron full melt connection if that's possible. I love the way everyone's face immediately got that and started smiling.
We're on fucking Hash Church. You made everybody giggle.
We need a 90 micron.
I like to use hash metaphors in my life for a quality standard setting of a bar, regardless of it, if I'm going to, if I'm in a new city and my friend's like, yeah, let's go to a restaurant, what do you feel like? And I'm like, honestly, I feel like some 90 micron full melt that leaves nothing in the banger. If you can find that for me, like, I don't really care how much it costs. It's just kind of what I'm feeling like right now.
That's what you're in for.
You just delayed so delicately. We were expecting percent, and now you went right to.
That's awesome. That's cool. Oh my goodness. No, it's good. Yes. Thank you, MM420. I haven't been paying much attention to the chat. There's a bunch of cool people in there right now. You know who's in the chat right now, Aaron?
This is delicious. Wow.
Diamond Press is in the chat right now. I remember we had a little bit of a misunderstanding, but he was very cool when I contacted him in person, and it all kind of ended up working out. But God bless.
Glad to have him.
God bless Heavy Ice for putting up with the absolute insanity of trying to moderate a group. I mean, he would sooner have an easier time herding cats after you gave them a massive dose of catnip, wearing a tinfoil outfit. That would be probably easier than what you do in the moderators group of my rosin group and all the other ones that you help at. So I know I've given you props for that before, but
well, you know, I mean,
never give too much props.
We kind of, all cannabis people learn that, you know, the rules are probably not necessarily there for a good reason. And then we go and then we create cannabis groups that have rules in them that we make people follow. So it's kind of,
I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest.
I feel like the cannabis cops sometimes, but you know, like just keep it on topic.
I feel so guilty about it sometimes. I'll be like, dude, like, please stop giving him, you don't understand. Like, he's doing all of this out of the kindness of his heart. Like, he's not on a fucking, I'm not paying him to do this. This is legitimately time out of his day. Being helpful. And then they're like, well, why can't I endlessly spam my company in your group? And it's like, well, because we're trying to create education drops. And then when people come in, the way Facebook works, like if you drop a bunch of your spams, they have to go through them all before they can find that one piece of information. So
right.
So let's talk about hash making. I'm pretty excited to see Full Melt on the rise again. I don't know about what you guys feel in regards to where you live, but from a perspective of more and more people seem to be like a renaissance of some sort. And I don't know if Instagram and people like Solventless Mind and other people who have been really promoting water extraction to the next level. But it seems like in the last couple of years, people have really picked this up and are doing an amazing job with it. I wonder if it's connected to the Elaine Ingham, the Jeff Lowenfalls, the Dutch Blooms, the Dragonfly Earth Medicine, all of that information sort of coming, you know, like how long has that information been available to everyone? Like, were we talking about that 20 years ago or 15 or 10? Like, it seems like in the last 5, it's really been blowing up. I mean, I heard about most of those people in the last 5+ years. I read Jeff's books. I had him on the episode of Hash Church, thanks to Dutch Blooms and Dragonfly Earth Medicine, because they were really the ones that brought me into the fold. I understood that obviously organic growing was better than salts from a perspective of a hash maker, but I mean, sustainable organic growing is better than organic growing. So, I mean, it's at one point in time, you might want to, and it's funny when people are like, yeah, but that's going to be more expensive. It's like, well, sometimes we have to pay for the right thing. You know,
it's more of labor than money. You know, a lot of the times when it comes down to it, it's care and love. And I think more of what we're experiencing is 10 years ago, none of us were at an age where we cared about a variety of different things in our lifestyle, or we weren't affected by a variety of sicknesses and illnesses around us. So, you know, a little bit of time and space have now compressed those aspects of our lives. And some of us are concerned with organic, healthy living. Some of us have become concerned with it due to sickness or illness or other things. And that's all just transitioning into the way that all of us are starting to live our lives as well. And some people came in from an organic food aspect. Some came in from finding out it just produces a higher quality flower in the end, because, you know, the cleaner, the purer, the nutrients and the soil and the air that you're, you know, growing in is going to produce a better plant with a unique profile. And I think we're just catching up to a point where all of these things are kind of melding together and legalization's happening at the same time. So it's kind of exciting because it'll be what we make of it now.
And black market, you didn't have as much accessibility to the items for growing organically, instead of like growing in your closet with one little thing trying to figure it out.
It's true. Yeah, well said. All of that is quite accurate. You know, for me, I feel lucky because I maybe was an anomaly hanging out with Rob Clark and Skunkman Sam, and those guys absolutely knew all of this shit like back then. and they would tell me, but I wasn't really absorbing it. You know, I wasn't really like, I'd go there and be like, oh my God, like this shit's really crazy. And like, wow, this hash is like the craziest I've ever had. Like, it's almost impossible. Like, I don't really understand. They'd be like, well, you understand, you got to create your own inputs. You got to do organics. You got to do living microbials in the soil. You got, and I was just like, oh, okay, well, that's great hash. But at the time I didn't have a giant greenhouse where I could go back home and be like, I'm going to do all of these things that these guys were talking about. Yeah. So instead I tended to gravitate to the few rare people in the cannabis industry back in the day that were doing that. And so I have felt lucky in that sense, but yeah, you're right. Maybe a lot of people were at an age 10 plus years ago where it wasn't really on the table for them. And I definitely see the point you made about people becoming sick. I mean, that's definitely Heavy Ice's story. His story is a crazy story about that. And then also, what was your other point? You said people getting sick and people or coming from
lifestyle changes, trying to get healthier and becoming more connected, or more, you know, leaving a hustle and bustle lifestyle to some degree, finding a little bit of happiness, enjoying the simplicity of nature and simple foods. And maybe, you know, you found out that a nice cooked meal tastes a lot better than a fancy meal at a lot of places.
Absolutely, especially when it comes out of your garden.
Yeah, the quality of the inputs.
And made by someone who actually cares about it and wants to be making dinner for you.
Totally. It all kind of ties into Emoto Masurato. Was that his name? Emoto. He was the water, Messages in the Water guy, Japanese guy. Yeah. I went and saw him speak a few times. I even got to meet him and talk to him through his translator. But his information was very neat and very cool, and how these patterns, this memory was held in water. And I always thought of that and how that could accord into, you know, our own lives and our own, you know, the way we experience things. Just trippy thought. Kind of lost my train of thought there. Pretty baked.
Dude, absolutely.
Maybe I need another dab.
You're just a giant worm running around.
Oh yeah, Dr. Emoto. I'm just so glad to be here. I'll be honest. I really am. Like, that was a weird thing, getting spanked and being like, you can't live stream anymore. I was like, oh, like, well, I'll just start a new channel. And then they were like, no, you're not allowed to do that either. Like, you can't live stream until you get a certain amount of subscribers. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then if you have over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, they start treating you a little bit better. You can usually actually deal with a person. But I got my channel hijacked, so I couldn't deal with the person. The only way to deal with the person was through your channel.
Your actual account
that you couldn't get,
that you weren't able to access.
Dude, I'm telling you, if it wasn't that I've been in this particular industry for the last like 25 to 30 years, and like adversity is like my middle name, like, are you kidding me? Like, I went through 3 credit card providers in a week once, and they each took me for 10 grand and held the money for 6 months. The first year of my company existing. I was like, you would not believe the shit that came at me when I started Bubble Bags. The fact that Bubble Bags is still alive and is a company is no small feat, because every single group came and took their shot at Bubble Bags. Every group, like the Taxman, Customs, like fucking everyone you could possibly imagine. It really, it's kind of amazing that the people, you guys made it happen, because
you pushed through.
Buying those things. You just kept buying those things, man. Holy shit.
The coolest thing I learned was Texas is the second largest country in the world, and like, I don't even know anybody in Texas that makes it.
Dude, people are definitely making bubble in Texas, let me tell you. They're like, shh.
I remember you saying that, but like,
Bubble bags were literally the first pair of bags I started washing with back on 2000, somewhere in 2000.
That's very early. That's
a long time ago.
That's, put it this way, I only started the company in '99 of March.
Oh, geez. Yeah, we had them really shortly after that then. I think we had just a little 1 gallon, just might have been a 5 gallon. I don't remember now.
Yeah. We didn't have 1 gallons back then.
So it was just a 5 gallon. Okay. I thought it was like, I think it
might
just been 5
gallon. It might have been
okay.
like a little weirder, smaller 5 gallon. We might have been like sewing that shit up in our
trying to stretch it over the bucket a little tough. Yeah, I hear you. I think I do remember.
Like, we were noobs, you know. We weren't like
shit. Nobody knows, man.
We were just like
blazing a trail.
Just wanted people to check this out. I was super excited about it. It was the greatest time of my life, where I got to travel around everywhere and show people this process. And it would, you know, they'd all become, what the fuck, and like throwing bud into water and ice, and people were like, I don't know
Like, oh,
you know, shaking their heads and like honestly, like heavy vibes from some of them, to be honest. And then
you're ruining it.
when that 73 bag came up, you'd see, I'd call it the eyebrow raise. Everyone's eyebrows would go up. They'd be like, ooh. I'd scoop that shit out and they'd just be like, what? I'm like, oh, you don't even know. You don't even know, bro. There's more bags to go. So it was exciting because nobody knew. And it was a neat, cool, real thing that you could show people. Everyone thought it was a scam at first, like everything else, because nothing is ever fucking new. Ever. It's just all the same shit over and over and over again with people saying, hey, look at this. It's new now. Check it out. No, it's different. Bubble bags were different. People were like, okay, I'll be honest. I never seen that shit. Unless they were like pathological liars. They'd be like, no, man, I was doing that in Cali in 1971. I fucking had screens. I was making water hash. I'm like, all right, well, whatever.
Freezing it up on the hill.
You missed
We're on the hill doing
You should have
it.
shared that shit, you know? It goes to show you the difference between hoarding anything versus sharing it. Because sure, of course, I was able to monetize in my sharing, but I went out above and beyond to share this information. Still have to this day, to people that don't even own my bags. They'll be like, hey, bubble bag dude. I'm like, actually, that's just some guy that ripped me off, but what's your question? You know, like I do answer everyone. I swear to God. Like, I don't care what bags you're using. I'm not going to be like a dick and be like, oh, well, you need to buy my bags. But I will kind of make fun of it on a show like this in this moment. So when those people hear it, they can be like, yeah, I guess that was
sick.
That's kind of fucked up.
Like, I really shouldn't have asked for that advice.
Oh my God, look at this guy, vegan bacon. I won't even go into it, bro. I'll just remove you. Goodbye, my friend. Trying to pull me in. Don't get pulled into the negativity. That's the new lesson of life. When my channel got jacked, at first I reacted. I kind of had a bad day. I was like, oh my God, woe is me. All of this shit. And then I realized I don't define myself by like a channel or a page or anything like that. And I can keep doing whatever I need to do, wherever I need to do it. And I released that, and it was such a better idea than allowing myself to get pulled into the negative. It's not worth it. And when you see people in chat saying things where they're trying to light a match and throw it into, you know, the fucking the flammables, I just take that match and hit my bowl of hash with it, and then blow it out and remove them because
absolutely
I shall not be pulled into it.
Being live as much as I've been over the last couple of years, I mean, you really just kind of have to let it roll off your back. It gets to the point anymore where you just don't even acknowledge it, you know, and if you acknowledge it, it's in a totally positive, like try to just laugh at it, you know, kind of way. Otherwise it's just don't even look, acknowledge, just block, gone, see you, have a good life.
Yep. Exactly.
Hope things get better for you.
Wish the full melt upon them.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, when you want to be an unveiler of the flame, but all you are unveiling is the turds, that could be, you know, depressing. Look at all you unveilers of the flame smiling with your big smiles. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I'm not sure if we're going to be in the near future innovating water extraction, but it would be neat to see one day. I mean, it's already an incredible process. So really all that there is to do is to scale it up without losing, not what I say quality, I call it purity. Because what we're doing is we're isolating glands to 99.9% ratio. That's purity. That has nothing to do. Quality is either there or it's not there, unless you grew that shit with your organic, you know, nutrients and microbials and all this other stuff. And then you're the double king sort of thing, but or queen. But yeah, it's just washing, you know.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to get to a point, and maybe I'm just shoving my foot in my mouth, but I don't know that we're going to get to a point where we're making better hash. You know,
yeah.
I think we're just going to, even going to like the Indo Expo this last couple months ago, the biggest thing out of people's mouths, like it seemed like the theme of the show was scalability. Can we hold the quality that we have now, but produce more, so much more, you know, just jam it through quantity now.
Which is really saying, can we maintain our purity so that if our quality is there, it comes out the same in a small batch as it does in a big batch.
That much
Yeah,
better. Yep, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's the differentiator that we really have to make sure people are aware of. What we're doing is we're isolating glands. Now, some of us are also growing, and that's why they sometimes get into the conversation a little differently, which is where I'm actually producing the inputs that I'm also processing. And
Very
so
true.
then that's a little different. That's the highest level to me. I'm like, all right, like respect. Am I going to continue the podcast? Actually, I think I will make this a podcast today if I can. I think there's a way. Yeah, I'll try to put this up as a podcast today. I'm definitely still putting up all the live shows on podcast under the Hash Church 3.0 name for now, because I don't want to get a whole different podcast for everything. I just want to put all the content under that, and this will go on that. Go ahead, whoever was about to talk. Was that you, Colin?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I think in terms of, how do we scale this stuff, it goes back to, can we take care of the crop in the way that it needs to be taken care of to get it to us in a way that we can utilize it to achieve what that's being asked of us. And that's a major tall order that can be accomplished. But it's always, I think it goes back to that simple question as to, it goes back to where it comes from and how it's grown.
Yeah. And I think the issue that we're coming into with everybody wanting to jump into scalability is because everybody sees this new and blossoming thing. And what comes in with scalability is profitability, because with scalability, you can also make a lot more for potentially a lot less. So this is like, it's not like wine or any other, crop or product that we produce, but it does share a lot of the similar qualities. Like, if you're growing a high quality vintage wine, it's not really scalable. It's, it can get to a certain size, but that's what really creates that character of that wine. And then that's why we seek out that grower and then the people who are processing it. And the thing that for us as a community that I think is a great thing is creates a lot of opportunity for smaller to mid-size operations who want to focus in high quality production. And even some of the ones
don't get it mixed up though. Don't get it mixed up though. Believe it or not, like purifying resin can be scaled without affecting the quality of the resin.
100%.
Absolutely.
But the growing it.
No, the growing it, that's a whole different thing.
Problem.
Growing 1,000 acres of the super dank. Good
luck.
That's crazy.
Whistler Tech's like, what they're processing up there, and like the scalability of processing the material is going to be super there. But the idea of what we need to start seeing is realizing that I don't think we've really seen anything that cannabis can do, because we have to realize that we've been fighting, a game with our hands tied behind our back since any of us can remember. Like nobody's even been able to really grow out in full sun or like, full greenhouses until recently. And when we jump into it, we're still in the scalability mode. So we're just doing what we've always done. And there's only some people out there pushing the limits and seeing what kind of profiles can even be expressed in different regions and climates.
Yeah, I mean, I know Best Friend Farms. I always that you're testing out new varieties, and I think that's amazing. Are you seeing, just where you're growing right now? Like, what are you seeing in terms of what's working for your space, and like what are you seeing good yields from?
Flavors this year, like strains, just to try out and see what actually produced the best resin content this year, just to try it out, because like we like to have a lot of variety. So that way we can actually figure out what terpenes and cannabinoids are actually in everything. And then we can blend things together to make the patient like the right medicine.
But currently in outdoor in Maine, we're getting a great profile, and we're getting great, when it comes to yields, we do actually over 90% of what we do is actually dried and then frozen. So we like dry, frozen.
And then wash.
And then, we feel it gives a better medicinal profile and an overall better experience from what we're getting back in our feedback and results.
You do what? Sorry, repeat that. When you dry it?
We do fully dry. Yeah, we go bone dry.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily, we don't run much fresh frozen up here.
Dude, I always ran dry, and people were like, after fresh frozen became a thing, which I understand why it's a thing. It's
faster. It's yes and no. It has its purpose.
Cured resin, there's something to be said with it, and when you soak, membranes that are that, you know,
Dry.
already moist, you know, when you're using fresh, that it's a lot to get that moisture out. Whereas when it's dry, they don't really take on the moisture, especially if you've dried it properly. They act more like the resin acts differently.
Yeah, it definitely does. It comes off clean too, especially if you can keep it at a nice cold environment. And, you know, where, you know, we keep it, you know, 40 to 50 degrees is most of our working environments. So stuff comes off beautiful, and our rosin.
Yeah, we're working at 50, we're doing 50 Fahrenheit and, oops, sorry.
Yeah, no, go.
Good.
And
I was saying we're working at a standard. We do 50 Fahrenheit, 50% relative humidity standard. Most of the resins we're turning are dried as well, where we're doing 2 weeks on the line, standard 2 weeks, and then we're drying even the hash for 2 weeks as well.
Okay.
Like 12 minimum days, up to 2 weeks, up to 14. So even like a month before we're even getting to the hash, you know, and taking our time with it. Although I would say, to go back on it, like, we find that certain variety for fresh frozen also, though, recently, for the gas mask that I bred, is just an amazing hash plant in general. And the fresh frozen that comes off it is just like white glue, like shiny glass buttons. I'll try to post it tomorrow. It's insane. It makes you nervous to even handle. It's literally like glue. It just white glue and amazing. So depending on the plant, like some fresh frozen super snow dog, I remember back in the day, was just like that white glue bubble strain, you know. But the recent one that we've turned and had the most success with, that I just recently posted, was a 24 karat gold crossed to a road dog. So, you know, like a Tangy kosher with that Chem 91, SFV 91, you know, type of just real gassy, what I'm calling kind of gas fruit is the new wave for some of the breeding collect kind of stuff that I'm getting into more. I see other people doing the same. The plant kind of speaks to us, tells us what it wants to see us do next, kind of, too.
I kind of wanted to step in here because I've done a little different that I haven't heard a heck of a lot of people talking about. I've seen it more so on the Instagram side, but and you got to remember, the one thing is that I'm a redneck over here. I represent, you know, just like the small home grower. Sometimes I don't have the best facilities, you know, my drying conditions. I can't hold a 50-50, you know. I can hold a 60-40 maybe, you know, something, but, you know, sometimes it's not perfect. And out of necessity this year, from an outdoor harvest needing to be processed quickly, otherwise it sits and things, you know, just don't go the way I want them to. I kind of converted over to a 4, 5, 6 day dry, you know, because like I said, I hold those 60, 65 degree temps, 40 degree temperature or humidity. I'm in the desert, mind you. So when I hold 40%, I'm doing pretty damn good. And I'll pull it off that 4, 5, 6 day dry, kind of depending, you know, it's kind of a squeeze check at that point in time, as far as I'm concerned. And then I'll bucket right off the plant and throw it into the freezer from there. It's kind of like a half dry. And what I've noticed from there is that I'm retaining a lot of terps. Now, I won't say live terps, but I mean, about as damn close as you can get without just washing a fresh live plant. But my yield seems to be going up as well. And from a personal standpoint here, you know, medicating myself and my wife, we medicate a lot. So yield is kind of important. Yeah. And so we do things after the wash as well to make sure we're not just throwing stuff away. But the 4, 5, 6 day dry, the quick dry, seems to be where I'm going to stay, period. I've done the fresh frozen, I've done the dry. And I respect the dry a little more than I think I respect the fresh frozen. And that's not tossing stones at all, but it is what it is. My taste buds more than anything. But I really, really, really like right in the middle, you know, just kind of the best of both worlds.
It's nice to know.
We just tried that. Oops.
No, go ahead.
We just toyed with that same notion, actually, after the last HashTalk that we did together, kind of got thrown out there for that in between dry and frozen. So at the farm, like a couple weeks ago, we just tried a Road Star, Trey Star by Road Dog, something that I've read. And it was the same concept where it was in between our 2 week dry is that 1 week. And I was kind of like working on the idea that maybe the trike heads would separate I don't know, from the trike stalk being glued to the plant body perhaps more freshly. So I just throw that out there as far as maybe what do you think it is, Pedro? Or what's your concept? What's your idea with that as far as the returns and the terps just being more alive, or what are you thinking with that in between?
Yeah, I literally think you're hitting the nail on the head. You know, if you've ever brushed up against a fresh plant that's growing, I mean, it glues your hairs together on your arms, you know. And then you take a bud that's been cured for a couple of months and run it on your arm, and it's not necessarily going to have the same thing. So it doesn't have that gluey exterior, you know, and it releases from the plant a lot easier. It does.
Well, what happens though is when you're going for that live aspect and the live profiles, what happens is just the time that it's exposed to air and the temperatures that it's at. And, you know, the terpenes are volatile at different temperatures. So just being in California versus Maine in our outdoor harvest, when I harvest, it's, you know, 43 degrees. When you guys harvest, 39. It's 73 degrees probably. So just between those two environments, we're going to capture a different set of terpenes. But at the same time, all of these terpenes that we're trying to capture and being super alive aren't going to necessarily always possibly be good for us either, because terpenes aren't necessarily natural to our body. They are 5-molecule hydride-based hydrocarbons.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Some of those things need to be off-gassed and kind of need to be converted. And like, you know, this is one of those things, a lot of us are just super excited and we're doing things and like, I'm excited to see where some of these things go. Like what happens in the process of properly aging and curing the buds and the trichome heads and then processing them into a rosin, for especially when it comes to like a medicinal benefit versus a recreational, because, you know, there's a little bit of different markets. And so I think there's a lot to be found in that, and just the craze for terpenes isn't necessarily a great thing. The same thing with CBD. We're forgetting that THC is the only part of the plant that's natural to the human body. CBD receptors process THC and that's it. We accept CBD and terpenes, but those are all additives to our body, and you can overdose on all of those. THC, you can't.
Yeah,
Not sure about that. I wish Dr. Mark was here to talk about that.
Yeah, me too. But it's interesting nonetheless. It's so you know, terpenes definitely are the modulating factors, and which are the main drivers in your effects profiles.
Well, that's what you need the entourage effect. I'm totally against THC. I'm against THC isolation, and I'm not a fan of any isolation or, you know,
I'm all for everything for everyone. That's my
thing. Yeah, you should be able to pick.
Yeah, well, the one thing I like about isolations is that people who have extremely sensitive, like Colton, for instance, who has Crohn's, or someone who has neurological disorders, different types of epilepsy, they require it's very hard to hone in on a ratio that works for them effectively. And when it's found, it usually doesn't take many crops before it's kind of lost to some type of stress that occurred in the grow or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I like the idea of being able to like find these recipes, these profiles, and then being able to take the plant and isolate those things and just put them back together in the ratio that never changes because you formulated it.
It's what makes this plant so awesome.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, I would never, I don't use it that way.
Find so many different uses.
Yeah, exactly.
But like building it back to a full profile is what we need to be aiming toward. Just a lot of people are getting separated.
You know what? It might be what you want to aim for, and it is a big target to hit, but there are other targets. That's the crazy thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people just need a monocannabinoid to really help with the specific thing that they might have going on, such as Marcus illustrated. But it's one thing I'd like to talk about is drying and how everybody is drying. You know, I came from air drying, and then now I use freeze dryers, and now I enjoy both spectrums of it all because I've gone through it all, and I've been so excited about hash making in general over the long time that I've been doing it. So it's for me, it's interesting to hear everybody's take and what they believe in and why that's their road. And I actually have some of the Roadstar right here, man. I have a little smidgen of it left, Brian. That is delicious stuff, man. But and that's air dried, and it's great to hear. It would be great to hear from some of you guys that are that are using like wicking techniques. You know, I'm a big freeze dryer fan right now. I've been really kind of getting into that over the past few years. But I also do air dry as well. So it's I love it, you know. So it'd be great to hear from some of you guys.
I'm glad you brought that up. Really glad you brought that up, actually. And I respect the hell out of air drying because it takes a lot of consistency in your environment. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of, which comes in hand patience, a lot of space, a lot of material. I mean, and it's a freaking dedication. Like it is, and it's hard to achieve something that's really good without introducing your bacterial growth, your fungal growth, your microbial growth. You know, it's really hard to do. For that reason, I don't do it. I'll leave it up to the people that have the patience and the time and the space and the cleanliness. And
you know who those people are? Those people are people who grow mushrooms.
Right. Yeah, agreed. I can't agree more. That you talk about cleanly people.
Those motherfuckers know how to get it done.
Agree. So I purchased a freeze dryer a year and a half, 2 years ago now. It's been a while, and I won't go back. The quantity that I can go through and dry in the space in which I can dry it it just makes so much sense to me. Again, now you have to remember that I represent and speak for kind of the home grower, the redneck guy that's trying to put things together, you know, that might be washing in his shed or in his backyard or something. My hat's off to you, 6-star full melt guys. That's not me. That's generally why I went to rosin, because my hash making, I'm a decent hash maker. And if I really, really, really want to try, I can pull some full melt hash, but it's generally not my game. I'm a rosin guy. You know, it's just what I am. It's what I perfected. It's what I like. It's what I enjoy. It's where I go. So it just makes sense to me. And that's my answer.
Sure. Well, I want to welcome Skunkman Sam to the room. He just popped in there. Oh, I think he's muted.
Cheers, my friend.
He is muted. You'll have to unmute yourself if you
Welcome.
can figure it out, Sam. I made the mistake of muting him when he first came in, and now it'll take us 20 minutes to get him unmuted. This is how. Oh my goodness. Either way, when you do get it unmuted, just chime in and interrupt, and we will welcome you. Because, how do you talk about hash without Skunkman Sam? I mean, come on. The dude knows what's up. As do lots of people, thanks to him and many other people who have shared this information over the years. Man, that bubble that Flav gifted me is very, very nice. Very, very nice. People should be gifting each other full melt hash. Like, that is just a good thing. So, without further ado, my P.O. box is... No, just joking.
I completely agree. I go to these shows and I like to take, a lot of single grammars and half baller jars and baller jars, because there are those hash makers there and the rosin makers and some of the gentlemen that I know that even make, some decent BHO. Like I said, I'm not hating. And I love to trade the terps because I'm a single source guy. I grow what I grow. I smoke what I grow. And sometimes that's very limited. My stock of Critical Kush right now is like, yay, I love it. But another 8 months of smoking Critical Kush, like, will somebody trade me some terps, please? So I love trading. Love it.
For sure.
I do too. If I couldn't give away cannabis, it wouldn't really be worth it. I don't think it would be. I wouldn't be doing this if it couldn't be the gifting aspect of it.
Totally. It's
full
wonderful.
melt giftings. Yeah.
It's a great thing. And in Canada, it's totally legal. Like, you can give, as long as it's like an adult or whatever, you can give herb to one another. And it's just really a nice thing to not have to be, worried about, really, just to be able to like gift a small little thing to someone that's like, no, this is a nice thing. Did anyone notice my shirt? The Lebanese hash makers.
Oh, beautiful.
Someone was asking in the room, hey, what's on your shirt? This was actually the shirt for Legends of Hash last year in Spain. Hey, hemp guy, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really having trouble here. It's first of all, it's 3 o'clock in the morning here.
Jesus Christ. Did you just wake up?
I just woke up and I'm here to smoke hash.
All All right. Well, we've got a little tiny bit of feedback coming through your mic. It mostly sounds like exciting over breathing, but I don't think that's what it is because I know you. But pull up a bong and smoke some hash with us, dude. And if you hear any of us say anything that's like ridiculous or awesome, disagree with us or agree with us, or we're just happy to have you in the room as always.
Well, one thing I wanted to say was that I was trying to talk to Rob yesterday on Skype, and I couldn't. And the reason was because he has laryngitis.
Oh,
and the reason is because he was smoking too much fresh weed that had only been dried for 2 weeks. And his voice got overterpened and too much terpenes, and he's got laryngitis.
Wow. So there it is right there.
I wonder if that's what makes my voice so sexy over here is all the terpenes.
Used to happen to me every year in California when I used to still smoke ganja. But I quit smoking ganja, and I only smoked aged dry sift, and I haven't had any problems. But if I would smoke really, really, really high terpene haze that had only dried for 2 weeks, then I would lose my voice. And the same pot, after it had cured for 3 months in a box, didn't do it to me. So too many fresh terpenes, especially the volatile monoterpenes, can be harsh on your voice.
So here's a question. What happened? What did you give him a dry sift rip when he couldn't absolutely breathe at all?
Yes.
And what was that? That was some huge, like too much in the bowl or something?
That was 1 gram of 99.9% pure resin heads put in those oil pipes that are like a little ball
the smoke
with
bubble.
a long yes
like an opium pipe.
So the flame never touches the actual resin. You heat the glass from underneath. And he took a hit of that and turned and looked at me and went, and he couldn't breathe.
Holy shit.
And
yeah.
I started laughing. And I said, oh, gee whiz, I guess I'll be remembered as the guy who killed
with hash.
Yeah, but after about a minute of gasping, he was finally able to take a breath of air. But I'm serious, he couldn't take a breath for a minute.
No, I know. He's told me the story as well. And it's just, I wanted you to tell the story because it plays to the conversation that we're having about terpenes. And I know you guys kind of, with your mic, if you don't touch your mic, it's fine. But sometimes it goes.
To try to make it I'm rubbing my thumb on it, I guess.
Oh, you bastard. Don't do that. Yeah, so and I know you guys kind of did some bioassays and some experiments that were just, like even hitting your dry sift in that hubbly bubbly pipe at one of the first Legends of Hash parties. I also had a similar experience where I felt like I couldn't breathe. I didn't quite do the Rob where I was like, but I was definitely like having I could breathe like 10% of my lungs, and then they were just closed. Super crazy. Talk about taking it to the next level.
Well, some of the more volatile monoterpenes that are lost during curing, maybe it's better to smoke cannabis without them. I know people love terpenes, myself included. I mean, I led the charge.
You did.
But we still have a bit to learn about terpenes, and there's a reason why it's good to dry and cure cannabis. But if you're not having problems, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that when I've made fresh frozen, it was a lot more harsh than the cured material that I've washed, the hash.
I think it's important, and I actually mentioned this to my wife Dizzy a while back, because we smoke a lot of rosin, and it's in that fresh-ish range, I told her, I said, as educators, as people who you all look up to in the audience here, as somebody to provide information, I think it's important that we recognize that, you know, we are inhaling these things, and, you know, there are residuals, and I think it's important to take a break every once in a while, minimally, especially when we're in the excess state, you know, that my wife and I are. So every couple of weeks or so, we'll take generally a week break kind of from smoking. Now, that doesn't mean we're completely abstaining. We will still eat our RSO. We will still eat, you know, whatever oil that we want to you know, to consume, to subside the sensation of wanting to smoke. But we'll just take a break. We'll relax our lungs for a little bit, give them a little bit of a break, and then come back strong again. It's just, that's what we choose to do. But I think it's important to recognize that, yeah, it can be damaging, I think, you know, in the long term, especially on an excessive side.
If you want to know how strong terpenes are, I can give you a small example. This happened, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago when I lived in California. So I used to vacuum seal little ball jars with weed in it, whether it was a pint, a quart, or whatever, of fresh, dried, usually cured to cannabis. And one time I noticed that some of the ball jars, the lids, it almost seemed to get sticky, and I couldn't figure it out because they have a little rubber seal in the ball jars. So what I did was, I discovered I accidentally had dropped a rubber band in one of the glass jars. So 6 months later, 8 months later, whenever it was, I took it out. I saw the rubber band in there, and it had melted. The terpenes had melted the fucking rubber band. Well, what do you think it's doing to your lungs?
Yep, can't disagree anymore, and we can't answer that question yet, and that's why I love the more progressive information and studying and stuff. We do need to know more.
On a side note, Sam, when was the last time you took a break?
I've never taken a break. I think it's immoral and a sin.
I just wanted to hear you say it.
So for us, you know, we were mentioning earlier about the terpenes, but then that goes back into what Pedro's was saying, is it comes into when you're consuming it. If you're not vaporizing it and doing it at the right temperature range for what you're aiming for, then you're potentially off-gassing volatile terpenes. And then if you're doing solvent-based extracts, you're, you know, potentially off-gassing volatile gases that weren't properly purged or removed in the process. And if you're outside the temperature range, you're potentially destroying the medicine and the medicinal value that you're looking to go after.
Well, the complexity of it all. Go ahead, Sam.
In my particular case, there was no problem with that because I've never used solvents. So
smart man.
It's just the terpenes themselves are solvents. Like limonene is the most well-known one.
Absolutely.
But other ones are.
Oh, you cut out, Sam.
What?
It sounded like you were talking and you cut out. Maybe I'm just making it all up.
One of the well-known BHO makers on Instagram, Frogroli. A lot of people know him in the cannabis community. He's out in Michigan, and he actually uses, I believe it's the limonene for disinfectant. Is that correct? Okay, so yeah, he uses that exclusively for disinfectant. So
it is, I think, AK Master Rosin from Alaska. I think he was mentioning last time he does that,
and that's why his whole lab.
You know, your Lysol and your Pledge and your cleaning cabinet has more lemons in it than the lemonade you bought.
And like pine.
You know, the Navy powers some of their jets off of just pure terpenes. They're actually pure. They can be used as energy. It's just a matter of, you know, how to use them.
Terps! Oh, they're energetic, all right. Let me tell you. I don't know if you ever saw the video of me visiting Johnny B after he had fucking spinal surgery and had like parts of his spine removed. He was in the craziest part of the hospital I've ever been in my life. These poor people were like in beds with like posts coming out of their neck, like not moving, like they're in like full, like just stuck. And then we kind of, you know, I'm with D420K. And, you know, he's like, looks like my bodyguard walking through the hospital. I got a gun case with me with 35 different types of terps. And John is in the hospital bed and he sees us and he's got the neck thing on and he's like, oh, hey guys. And he's all Johnny B, like all excited and tries to get up. And we're like, no, John, like sit back down. Like, don't hurt yourself, dude. Like you can just feel the excitement in this human being. He's such a beautiful soul. And we go, we're showing him some terps and I'm filming it. And at one point in time, I put the purple punch under his nose and he's like, oh, that's nice. That's really, and then he's like, oh, this one took my pain away just now. It took my pain away. And then he like jumps off the fucking bed and I'm like, dude, like don't. He's like standing up in his robe, like with his neck on. And I'm just like, oh my God, fucking Johnny B, dude. It was like, I don't doubt in any way, shape, or form that one for him, if he had it in flour, if he had it in a concentrate, hash, whatever, and he started using it, the nose knows. And when you recognize that thing that you like, there's a lot to be said behind the mechanisms that are orchestrating that, why you're liking that. It happens a lot with women when they're pregnant. They feel like these strange things, but these strange things are directly according to what their body needs at that point in time, what that growing baby in their body wants. And they go for that. And I think that it's not too different with cannabis, those smells and those flavors. We all have our preferences.
Everyone's different.
Yeah, everyone's different. There's a reason.
I forget the doctor that said it, but he basically described it, and it was one of the greatest analogies I heard, is that, he's saying cannabis is basically a car. THC is the gas, CBD is the brakes, and then the terpene profiles that we all love become the things that we love that make each individual car that we gravitate towards, the things that we like. So like a little bit of profiles you like is a little bit different than mine, but he said, the real thing in the medicine will be the THC regulated by CBD and then finessed by the full entourage effect of all the terpenes coming in. And that's where you start getting a better thing, is by having a full contact sport. And the more terpenes that we can get in there, the better they're saying, the medicinal value will be.
And then to complicate things even more, on top of personal preference, as far as I'm concerned, everybody will experience a terpene potentially in a different way.
Absolutely.
You'll smell it in a different way. You'll taste it in a different way. It reacts to your body in a different way. It may drive your high a different direction, to two different people. So it gets kind of complicated when you get into that, when people start asking you, well, what do you prefer for anxiety, or what do you prefer for pain, or
what's
like,
the best?
You just kind of gotta play with it. What's the best for you? You tell me.
The best is to bioassay, is what I always tell people. It's like, man, try to interact with your own systems.
Like that's true to a certain degree, but at the same time, when we did double-blind testing of 25 milligrams of THC vaporized with just a small amount, a tiny amount of a single terpene, all of the 12 subjects that did the testing agreed on the kind of effects that the terpenes were creating. I mean, we were all in total agreement, but each of us had different preferences. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, but, and I think you said it's exactly right. It's like not all the time, because you throw a lemon in somebody's mouth, and I think most everybody's going to taste a damn lemon, But when it comes to something for me, for instance, like cilantro, there's people that love cilantro. Cilantro to me tastes like I'm chewing on a bar of soap. So there is definitely a different reaction, a different flavor sensation. People do receive things differently.
Absolutely. That has to be the case. There's no.
I've actually come out with a brand of cilantro. A brand of soap called cilantro, and you can just eat the soap. You don't have to eat the cilantro.
There you go. Perfect. Skip a step.
Yeah, no cilantro.
No, I'll let a little bit pass on my tacos. Cilantro. You love cilantro, Sam?
Absolutely, I love it.
Not more than dry sift, though.
I've never dry sifted cilantro. I'd have to try it.
I heard it tastes like soap.
There'll be a new one.
goodness. Thank you for being up at 3 a.m, Sam. Like, you're just fucking insane. It's so good.
And I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, you know what you're talking about. You always know what you're talking about. Someone talk. I'm dabbing.
Hey, Colin.
Yeah.
What was that?
But
What was that I saw Colin in Boston the other night? By the way, it's nice to see you. And you had some real fire strain of rosin that you brought with you. What was that?
so that was my lemon cake, man.
Lemon cake. That's
yeah.
awesome.
What is the
Yep.
makeup on that?
So that is a East Asian landrace, supposed landrace that was gifted to me through a family member of mine, and that was crossed to a skunk one that I had gotten from a pack of seeds, and then that was then grown out for a little while, and then I had a Northern Lights that I grew, and I had a male from that, and kept furthering it with that, and that became the end profile. Just kind of had this like it really smells and tastes, it has that like icing pound cake kind of profile to it, so
it was exotic for sure. Yeah, really it's far ranging, almost like an heirloomy nature that was a classic kind of almost of the days of like Silver Pearl.
Yep.
Like realm of something with that skunk one into it. Hard to explain, just very not a terp that you see or smell or taste these days very much. Very unique. So.
Well, on a side note, Lemon Cake was the name that Colin went under when I met him like 20 plus years ago online.
Yeah.
So were you on True Stoners, right?
It was True Stoners, and then even before that, it was like IRC chat, where like that's where like Subcool and all those guys, and Dank Master and Scoosh and OT1, and man,
that's funny. It's amazing how far back that goes.
It does. It goes
out of my face. How did that
happen?
It
goes so far back. But that's, I mean, I remember when I first got your set of bags. I mean, it's crazy that we use them every day, and I think back all those years, and it's amazing, and it feels so great to be connected to that in such a way that we use them and try to optimize like the same process that we've been doing, right, and learning from all of the things you've put out, and of course everyone else that's written literature on water hash and making water hash.
Totally. Yeah, it's been a great journey for everyone involved, that's for sure. Turning the and for me, it kind of started for me in 1995 when I got to hit some of that hash, and Buddy looks at me and he says, "If it don't bubble, it ain't worth the trouble." And it was like bubbling and boiling and like dripping through the screen, but it wasn't Sam. Sam wasn't there. But I can tell you that for certain it was definitely Sam's hash. And I heard that and I was like, what the fuck? Why is his hash like melting into like, what the fuck? And I spent legitimately like the next 3 years just trying to discover how to make it, how to purify resin to be that clean. And it wasn't until really like 98 when I finally did it and was like, okay, I can, but not like, oh, I figured it all out, but just like barely able to make a little bit and be like, okay, this is what it is. Like, holy shit. It's incredible how fast it's grown since then with the onset of, these phones, and with the ability for even people who are just learning. You learn, and then the minute you're kind of not exactly done learning, but still learning, but like gotten good enough at it that you're succeeding with it, that now you're sharing with other people how to do it while you're still kind of learning. But you're like, well, all these people, they need to be, they need this information, and fuck, it's a great thing. Yeah, Heavy Ice. That's you got something to say there? That's your styles. That's what you've been doing.
Oh, yeah, just fly by the seat of my pants and share what I'm learning as I'm learning.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I think someone else.
Yeah, It's
how
all
much you
pretty
can
new
learn by sharing information and teaching others.
For sure. Yeah, you do learn in teaching. That is for certain.
It's all pretty new because I really dropped the information about terpenes in about 2000. Before that, uh, everybody thought it was the other cannabinoids that was creating the different modulation and the different potentiating effects with cannabis. But what really modulates and potentiates THC is the terpenes.
Well,
I
and
mean,
your
CBD does also.
your method, your bioassay experiment was very profound. I got to do the experiment and it was kind of undeniable.
But it's one generation that have been aware of terps' ability to potentiate and modulate THC and the other cannabinoids. So one generation, that's it.
I love that it's 3 a.m. in Amsterdam and Skunkman Sam's puffing bong rips. Like there's something comforting about that to me. I don't know about the rest of you, but
what's it called? Wake and bake?
Yeah, wake and bake, buddy. You're just like, you've done it every day of your life. You're like, what is it called? Just my life.
It's early morning for him.
Dude, 3 in the morning.
It's earlier than the morning. It's only 3:17.
That's early for even you though. Like you're more like a 4 or 5 a.m. guy, aren't you? 4.
Absolutely true. That I wake up like a farmer. Today I woke up and I says, "What's wrong? What's going?" And then I remembered that you were going to try and reinstate Hash Church after the hackers stole it. What I don't understand is the hackers that stole it. What was the benefit that they got? Were they trying to sell bitcoins, phony or something?
Yeah, there's a variety of things that they do. So they fish for sites that have big traction, and then they sell sites, passwords, and admin codes on the dark web. You can buy like hacked websites to do all sorts of nefarious shit. Ones that have like credit card capabilities, like you can do all sorts of shit. So they also sell credit card numbers on the dark web, like, you know, nefarious.
Yeah, but everybody knows that dark hash isn't as good as light hash.
Well, I mean, that could be argued as well. Depending on, you know, what your definition of dark is. I got some kind of pretty, well, I guess it's not that dark. It's a little lighter than it looks in here. You're hilarious, dude. You're just absolutely hilarious. Thank you for being my friend and being a mentor to the community for so long, because it's a very good thing. If you ever get to be blessed with sitting in Sam's living room, you could
This is some water hash that I was gifted.
Oh yeah, that's what you're smoking? Look, there's Sam. Nice.
This is what I got going down right here.
Well, 12 more minutes of hash talk. I'm glad that it was, you know, I guess I'm just so less worried about everything being perfect because my channel has been gone for so long. I'm like, damn, like, I don't even care. Like, just give me my channel back. I'll do this last minute with like 3 other people. I'll do this by myself. I was legitimately said to myself, if nobody shows up, I will do an hour and a half by myself. I'll talk, I'll puff some bowls. I'll try to wake Sam up in Amsterdam at like 3 a.m. See if he wants to come talk and puff some bowls. Oh yeah. So what is it nice, Sam? Is it melty?
It's probably 60, 70% THC instead of 80, like the rosin and dry sip that I make. But it's damn good. I had a couple of Israeli scientists over here yesterday, and they tried just tiny little bits of it, and yeah, they left here floating.
Of course they did. That's so awesome. I just had a couple of Israeli scientists over last night. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the other thing. If you ever do find yourself in Skunkman Sam's living room, you could also meet the most incredible people just for if like around a dinner table or something. You'd be like, oh, well, who are you? It's like, I went there one time and I was like, oh, who are you? And they were like, we're the Corrals. I'm like from California, like the big California activists. Oh yeah, I'm Valerie. It's like, oh my goodness, like really great people that man has connected with over the years, and it is truly, like a family that when you really connect with like-minded people that aren't just completely industry driven. It's a good thing. Absolutely. Well, 10 more minutes. Anyone want to mention anything hashy? Something hashification, some full melt. Maybe we just puff full melt until we can't see anymore for the next 10 minutes. Do people have
Where's Mark to sing us a song?
I know. Well, this is HashTalk right now. This isn't Hash Church. This is like a totally different show, Sam, that you have like crossed over.
Yes, I just woke up. I don't know what I'm talking about or doing.
Awesome.
I'll open a door for conversation for the last couple minutes potentially.
Lovely.
Hash versus rosin. The dark rosin, the dark, dirty, we defiled hash rosin. In acknowledgement there, like how do rosin people fit in? And sometimes I feel like almost we don't to the hash world.
We're rosin, but we feel the same, like, you don't fit in either world technically, because like you're not a flower person and like you're not necessarily a hash person, and some of the hash people are just getting in the rosin or maybe already got back out of it. So like we understand what you're saying.
Good. I'm glad to at least be acknowledged.
Well, I will say I have not smoked oil, like any of the all that BHO and all that. Like I was like, no. And then when rosin came out, I was like, well, I'll smoke this. This is cool. Some flower rosin, some hash rosin. I enjoy it totally. My preference personally? My preference is my preference, and I think about that as well. The color, like for me, and I think Sam's much the same. I don't think what it looked like would matter if it was the best. If we hit it and the reaction we got from it and how we felt from it, if it was the best, like that's the one thing I got along with Sam right away, because I just realized, oh, this guy's just like me. Like he smokes his best first all the time. He's always smoking his best hash. He doesn't save his best hash and always smoke his shittiest hash. And there's different kinds of people. Some people are like, oh, I saved my best hash. And which Sam would say, oh, so you're always smoking your shittiest hash? Is that what you're saying? I've heard him say it before. It was hilarious.
I have my stash of hash that I pull out before I press rosin because I like smoking hash as well. I have my stash of flower that I keep aside because I like smoking flower as well.
Bottom line, I smoke what I love the most first, and then the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. No matter how hard I try to like mix it up, I'm just very like one, okay, I just want what I love the most. And that's usually how it goes.
I like both, man.
Does anybody else think that rosin, I mean, they call it solventless hash, but if the terpenes like limonene are solvents, is it truly solventless hash?
Well, it's like water hash. It's like nothing solventless in that sense. It's kind of a similar conversation, and we've had it with the solventless hash, water hash. For me, it is what it is. It's another kind of misnomer, but it is what it is. It's one that the community's sort of stuck onto, and they're keeping it going for now.
That's not a misnomer. I'm going to smoke some pollen.
I've thought about this.
That's a misnomer.
I've thought about this for quite a while, and the conclusion that I've come to with it is, yes, water is a solvent. Water is the universal solvent. When you drop flowers into an ice water bath, are you dissolving some terpenes? Yes. And that is what we're talking about when we're talking about a solvent, is dissolving something, not carrying, dissolving. So are there terpenes that are dissolving in the water? Absolutely. That's why we smell it. That's why we taste it. If you ever drink your hash water, just because there are terpenes that are being dissolved. Are we collecting those terpenes? Are we using the water as a solvent to dissolve said terpenes and collect them? And the answer is no. We're not. So we're using it as a carrier, and that's all it is. And so I think there is a huge distinction there. Is it a solvent? Yeah, it's dissolving some things, but we're not collecting them, so we're not using it as a solvent.
But the things we are collecting, some of them are solvents.
Yeah,
just to make the topic.
That's undeniable. Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, terpenes. Yeah.
And the problem will go back to that. The problem that we get to is we're getting in an argument over words and like trying to argue with people and proving a point and getting lost on the fact that we don't use poison. And then, but what we're talking about at the end of the day is that cannabis itself is not water soluble, because if that was the case, you wouldn't have any terpenes or any heads to harvest, because they would have all rinsed off anytime your plant got wet. So it just becomes the whole thing. And some of the things that are getting washed away in the water, just like Skunkman Sam said, and like we were mentioning earlier, like some of those things we shouldn't be having, like, you know, we could find out later on if we start getting some of those things that like we're having a whole bunch of bad things that we never had before because we didn't have these cool tools and all this cool tech that we have now. So like, you know, it's a learning process.
Or it could be as simple as low levels of terpenes are very beneficial for the taste and effects and everything, and high levels are a bit too extreme.
I'll say that when I dab a very terpy content, sometimes my jar will have a little puddle, and I'll get into that puddle and get that terpy. The very first hit, I get what I call the terp tickle. Like it just punches me kind of in the throat, you know, and that's the terpenes. And do we know that they're good for us, aside from whether or not we like them? You know, we like beer and we like alcohol, but we always wake up with the freaking hangover, right? Because it's poison. So regardless of whether, you know, we like it, is it good for us or not? You know,
but we already know
as simple as going and
we
testing
don't know.
your lungs. You know, all we have to do is actually have Skunkman Sam's lungs tested, and we're golden. If that comes back past, we are all laughing. Trust me. Trust me, telling you. And he doesn't seem like he has bad lungs to me when I hang out with him. Like I puff chronically all day, every day for I don't even know how many decades, but I have no problem snowboarding and ripping all day and hiking up the back mountain and doing all sorts of things.
Maybe you can have a bit of a problem with combustion, but with vaporization, it seems to eliminate most of the combustion-related problems. And you might still have problems from too much terpenes, but it's a different problem than I think the problems that are associated with breathing in combustion smoke.
And I consider my dabbing more of a vaporization scenario.
Ours too.
Agreed.
Germany did scientists in Germany released a study last year regarding vaporization versus combustion, and they found out that when, you know, studied based off the quality of the material, when you vaporize material, you're available to absorb anywhere from 90 to 99% of the available cannabinoid profile that's available there to be when it's vaporized at the right temperature. Versus when it's smoked, you're getting somewhere between 10 and 20%. And they actually went on to say that that is an inflated number because they're just confused on where the medicinal benefits coming from in the combustion, because by the science of combustion, you've destroyed everything in itself. So it's kind of a misnomer, and, you know, it's confusing scientists to its core.
I'll tell you what, I definitely notice a different kind of high when I smoke flower versus when I smoke rosin. You know, I've gone in some instances like this last time was 3 weeks or so without smoking any flower. And I smoked a flower bowl out front yesterday while digging a hole. And I was like, whoa, let me go sit down for a minute. It was like, whoa, you know, so I don't know. There's something crazy about that too.
Yeah, I think temperature variants are really important to material and how you treat the material when you, let's say, use bubble hats, you know, typically at a much lower temperature.
If you vaporize a bud, you're almost really just vaporizing the resin off the bud, because you don't really vaporize the bud. You're only getting the available cannabinoids and terpenes.
I so should have busted out the magnifying glass. Now I'm so just realizing it.
But then rosin has like a much higher, you know, for instance, rosin has a much higher, you know, threshold where you can just light it at a much higher temperature, and it will still taste quite nice and quite good.
If you run it through a volcano vaporizer, you can run that anywhere from 370 to, you know, 550, 570 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on your taste, and still have a solid terp profile and flavor from your flower. And what happens is you're vaporizing just like you were doing a dab, and you're ripping off the THC, the CBD, and all the terps that are available into a bag. But what happens is after you do 4 to 6 bowls, you're left with what we call as vape, and you're actually, the ground up flower that you put into the bowl, you can dump back out into your hand. And there's actually residual CBD and CBN and some terpenes you can use for edibles and more of a sedative relief. But you're actually then you have exactly the same thing that you started with, because you vaporize it, so you didn't destroy anything. You just stripped the essence off.
Dude, that was the dream of all the scammer, sketcher piece of shits out there. When they started seeing that volcano herb come out, it was just like, you could still sell that. I'd just be like, what?
No.
No.
Yeah, you definitely knew somebody. It was definitely a telltale on somebody's character.
Quick volcano story. I met, I guess it was Marcus Stores. I believe it was his daughter. She came to my booth in 2000 at the cannabis, which was in the south of Germany in a town called Dortmund. I'm sure Sam remembers it. I'm sure you went to many Dortmund cannabis back in the 90s, Sam.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this was 2000. And it was the year that the volcano came out, and they had nothing to vaporize. They were like showing people with like tobacco and shit or something. It was just really very, very, it was super off. And so she smells my booth from like 10 meters away, and I had full melt 73, true 73, no 90 micron bag. So everything from the 120 down went right into the 73 bag. It was like full melt Renee, like 6-star. Like stained glass window. It was just so good. You took a big rip and it tasted like fruit. And when you exhaled it, it stunk like haze. And so she came over and was like, oh, like, is there any way I could maybe get it? So I was like, crack that thing in half. I was like, yeah, go promote your vaporizer. And it ended up putting me in a position to bring those vaporizers to Canada. I brought them to the West Coast in like just maybe a year later or something. And it was like the first time volcano ever made it to North America. It was kind of a cool little, just from being generous and sharing with his daughter. I distributed them for years after that, in fact, the good old volcano.
The terpene testing work that I did with 12 subjects, we used a volcano.
Beautiful.
It was donated. It was donated to us by them.
That's awesome.
Man, I tell you what, living here in the desert, high desert, but it's still desert conditions. Hitting the volcano here, I would need a sprinkler in my face constantly. I just needed to drink so much water. It was so dry, I couldn't stand it.
Filter that shit through some real cold water. Get that cool vapor off the ice cubes. That would
have been better. Yeah,
that's the only way you'll enjoy it. Trust me, I've been in the very same situation. Go ahead.
7th Floor makes a vaporizer that you can run through your wigs and different, any other glass
they have
piece.
Like glycerin chambers and like water pipes, and you just attach a food grade hose from an actual vaporizer to there, and you fill it up with a rig. And they just came out with like one of the blowers to try to mimic the volcano effect.
Too bad I got rid of my volcano a couple of years ago.
Interesting. Well, listen, 6:33 went a few minutes over, but that's okay. I want to thank you guys all for coming out. The panel, Roxy Gray, Pedro, Colin, Heavy Ice, Best Friend Farms, and Great Lakes Sustainable. Skunkman Sam, thank you for popping in and hanging out with us. And I want to do these shows more often. I want to get a big group of people. I want to talk more and more about hash. I want to try to do them as often as possible, at least once a week on Fridays at around 5 o'clock this time. So hopefully we'll have another show next week. You guys will definitely all be invited if you want to come. I'll send out the email. And most importantly, thank you to the people that are watching right now. We got a couple 200 or 300 people that have been watching tonight, and that's really nice. So thanks to have the channel back, thanks to have the ability to do this, and just everyone, thank you for coming out. Peace out till next time.
I'd like to make a small comment as I'm selling Bitcoins, and if anybody wants to buy a Bitcoin, contact me and give you a great deal. And I'll also give you a tutorial on how to hack websites.
Dude, keep in mind it's like 3:30 in the morning, and this motherfucker is that.
Sam,
Oh my God, it's so
for
good.
some reason, Marcus, I think Sam has a deal for you.
Yeah, I'm definitely. You know what? I'm gonna take this off to the side, but I think I'm gonna get some bitcoins from Superman Sam. All right, everybody.
Have a good night.
Happy
Thanks, guys.
planting.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Peace out.
See you.
Peace.